the animosity between Lil Meech and Rick. Ross has reached a breaking point after a heated confrontation in which Meech accused Ross of ruining his life. The violent dispute, according to insiders, took place at a covert meeting meant to settle business disputes, but they quickly turned personal. "You ruined my life and everything my father built," Meech claimed, referring to the $120 million BMF deal Ross allegedly orchestrated privately. Meech said Ross manipulated contracts and denied him significant income related to the BMF legacy, ruining his wealth and reputation. Ross destroyed marks the start of the BMF empire's most turbulent.
He did a lot for everybody, man. Banks, Lamborghinis. I'm over Banks had a Lamborghini. That in the snow, man. Even put it in a garage.
Time to date. The dispute has rekindled discussions about exploitation, power, and loyalty in the hip-hop industry. And to make matters worse, 50 Cent, who had previously cautioned Meech not to trust Ross, has now publicly said, "I told him how this would end." Lil Meech's circumstances recently took a drastic turn for the worst, and things are rapidly getting out of control. He was first positioned as one of the next big talents in entertainment, and the breakout star of the popular BMF series is seeing the destruction of his creation. Yes. Look, because you like a bad low-budget series, I do want to make a BMF film. The moment has come for a high-profile movie. Which filmmaker? I would especially like to thank my friend, Ferry Gray. Hi there, Antoine Fuqua, Tarantino. There are many legends, I guess. This will be significant. I sense it. I am merely speaking. Rick Ross, I'm just in the middle of the storm. It's possible that his cunning maneuvers and futile strategies destroyed Lil Meech's career before it had even reached its zenith. Now, everyone is asking the same question. How did this happen? How could a young celebrity who had already attained notoriety, wealth, and popularity be denied access to his greatest possibilities and forced to struggle for safety? Furthermore, for what reasons did 50 Cent end the BMF show? Let's examine it. Lil Meech's life was going well at first. His contribution to the BMF series, which became one of the most talked about shows in hip-hop culture, was substantial. Checks were coming in. His future appeared unstoppable, and his acting career was thriving. However, things took a turn for the worst when Rick Ross became involved. Ross, recently released from prison, made the decision to become close to Big Meech, who was notorious for power battles and small-time behind-the-scenes antics. To be clear, this had nothing to do with friendship or business. It involved taking aim at his long-standing adversary 50 Cent and staging a confrontation in order to get even. The effects were immediately noticeable. When 50 Cent abruptly stopped the BMF series, fans and industry insiders were taken aback. Suddenly, Lil Meech's main supply of overnight income disappeared. Years of passion and hard work are gone, as are multi-million-dollar contracts and TV celebrities. Because, in a personal argument, Rick Ross chose to use actual people's livelihoods as chess pieces. Since it was still my first start, they didn't want to make me feel anxious. I went to the stars to watch them constructing the corporate building with the executives. There may have been one or two executives there, and they were just observing me to see whether I would be a good fit to join them. With your back to the wall, just glide down. The time had come for a big-budget film, and Ross boasted, "Look, you've been amused by a bad low-budget series, so I do want to do a BMF picture. Which filmmaker? I want to thank my friend F. Gary Gray in particular. Tarantino, what's happening? Many legends exist. This will be significant. I sense it. I am merely speaking, just letting you know." Ross was attempting to change the conversation with that remark by promising a smash hit that would outperform the original BMF series, which 50 Cent helped create. On the inside, though, it was an obvious attempt to change the narrative and assume control of a legacy he did not create. We must go back in time to truly comprehend how we got here. In the early 2000s, when BMF was more than just a nickname, 50 Cent and Big Meech started dating. After that, a full-fledged movement began. Meech was more than just a street legend at the time. His extravagant parties, fancy cars, and seemingly limitless money reserves made him a symbol of luxury and fortune. His impact went well beyond the streets. It was a force of culture. 50 Cent's iconic album, Get Rich or Die Trying, helped him break down barriers and gain recognition in the music industry at the same time. After being removed from Detroit, Lil Meech is transferred to an acting school. I recall that nobody seemed to be assisting Lil Meech when he was rapping. His unparalleled narrative and unadulterated sincerity were appending hip-hop. And his ascent paralleled the dominance of BMF in Atlanta and other locations. Tony Yo said that the friendship was genuine, quoting 50 himself. The crew in the South really had money down there and they were living life to the fullest. The two worlds eventually collided, and for a time, 50 and Meech were genuinely close. In one instance, 50 kicked it at Big Meech's house while a young Lil Meech was there. Back then, it was more than simply business or music. It was based on respect for one another and ambition. Nevertheless, one of the most intricate and well-known feuds in hip-hop history would eventually emerge from those early days of friendship. Lil Meech was fascinated by the stories his father told him about the past. Tony Yo claims that the young celebrity was enthralled with Big Meech's demeanor. There was no denying the man's presence. He had a powerful influence and an aura that was larger than life. However, when 50 Cent first entered the industry, his viewpoint was quite different from Meech's, who was seeking the fast-paced lifestyle. He wasn't interested in quick flips or flashy payouts. He had a larger project in mind. He was systematically organizing acts that would generate revenue for future generations and have a lasting impact, using the company as a chessboard. Furthermore, that's just where the basic differences between the two men started to become apparent. Meech received 10,000 chrome hard jeans from Richard Mille. I spent 10,000 on some chrome hard discs. I could wear those shits for a month, dude. 10,000 bucks for jeans. We were purchasing red monkeys, you know? What are they? What? $1,000 earlier. I used to believe that acting was just repeating lines when I first started. I'm the kind of person that goes to school. I'm attempting to determine how to receive an A+. The scene in which 50 replaced Lil Meech is among the story's most underappreciated. A decision that would permanently alter the young man's life. Let's face it, at the time, Lil Meech was attempting to establish himself as a rapper. He was not being pushed forward by anyone in the BMF organization. He had an untapped talent. Furthermore, it might not have succeeded in the absence of the proper assistance. That's when, seeing chances that others passed up, 50 decided to take action. By enrolling Lil Meech in an acting program, he provided him all the resources and instruction he needed to pursue a completely other path. I recall that no one was assisting him when he started rapping. It seemed to me that 50 was the one who had faith in him. Lil Meech acknowledged that the incident changed him, Yayo said. He clarified, "When I initially started, I believed acting was like school. I'm the kind of that initial investment turned a profit." Moreover, it demonstrated that certain individuals, such as 50, were more engaged in building futures than others, who were happy to narrate tales about the past. You know what I mean when? I say that he kind of dissolved the lines between the Atlanta and the 30 South country. Without anyone telling me how, I'm constantly trying to figure out how to get an A. It provided Lil Meech with the groundwork he needed to secure his breakthrough performance in BMF and launch a career separate from his father's legacy. Tony says 50 Cent was meticulous in forming Lil Meech's future, enrolling him in a rigorous acting school to keep the training secret until the right time. And the payoff was evident when BMF eventually hit stars. They're having a great time down there. They have a lot of money down there. I'd like to see Atlanta. Lil Meech's breakthrough came at this time. His gift wasn't disputed, and his ascent was no coincidence. Squints, squints, squints. It was the consequence of 50 preparing him for success while the stars were shining by laying the foundation behind the scenes. However, 50's role did not end there. He intervened on several occasions over the years to assist Lil Meech in overcoming obstacles that could have put an end to his career before it had even begun, such as being arrested for a handgun at the airport once and being charged with watch theft another time. Okay, this is for your safety and everyone else around you. The officials were heard stating during one of the gatherings, "We have to make sure because there's a possibility that weapons are involved. The X-ray cannot tell us for sure, and that's what it seems to be a chance. Don't worry, little one. He doesn't have to offer you anything." Time 50 was his guardian and tutor, guiding him through. 50 even implied that Big Meech was involved in the problem in a since-deleted Instagram post, suggesting that Meech was subtly leading his son in the wrong direction rather than the right one. 50 should have brought Meech a bag and maybe a watch or something. But tension was quietly building behind the scenes as 50 helped Lil Meech establish a career and stay out of trouble. Rumor had it that Big Meech was beginning to worry about the relationship that was growing between his son and 50. As Meech's star power increased, the history of BMF, which was the focus of a significant federal RICO indictment from Georgia in 2006, the first time a group was accused of being both a criminal organization and a legitimate record label, provides an additional layer of complexity to the complex relationship. This case would have a long-lasting effect on how law enforcement dealt with hip-hop-related groups for years to come. And it still looms large over everything. This is my kitchen, complete with stove and refrigerator. Here it is, the Ferrari. For luck, keep the Ferrari. The lion is my Egyptian-style furniture. I like that vintage look. It is said that 50 Cent attempted to warn Lil Meech about the dangers of substance addiction and steer him away from risky behaviors, while Big Meech was doing the exact opposite. The moral tension was a serious warning sign. 50 continued. "I think he felt uneasy about my friendship with Meech. Meech tells me that he used to do X as if it were something amazing, but I'm warning him not to tamper with some things." 50's frustration didn't stop there. He advised Lil Meech to reduce his reckless spending and focus on money management. But Big Meech instead brought up the amount of money he had wasted in the past. This opposing effect explains a lot of why things eventually fell apart. And the breaking point came when 50 revealed a shocking reality. He had to send Lil Meech to rehab over an apparent substance problem. 50 was praising the fast life rather than teaching his son how to earn permanent wealth. 50 was focused on discipline, stability, and growth, while Big Meech seemed stuck in the past, celebrating the chaos that once defined him. The time, money, and effort 50 had put into establishing Meech's career and safeguarding his future continued to spiral out of control. And finally, 50 decided he had had enough, cutting off Lil Meech entirely, ending the BMF series and stopping the flow of money. The once guaranteed millions vanished when the investments dried up, and to be honest, Meech wasn't exactly helping himself. His lifestyle had gone into overdrive, with private jet travel, designer clothes, personalized jewelry, and expensive sports cars all commonplace. Tony Yo even confronted Meech, pointing out that he was wearing expensive Richard Mille watches, of which he had several, starting at around $500,000. Lil Meech's spending reached unconscionable levels, and instead of ensuring generational wealth and leaving a legacy outside of BMF, he found himself alone, marginalized, and starting over from scratch. According to sources, he was spending $10,000 on a single pair of Chrome Hearts jeans, like it was pocket money. This was a combination of unchecked spending, negative consequences, and a lack of consideration for those who are genuinely trying to help. Ultimately, it all contributed to the failure of what could have been one of the most successful industrial revolutions in history. You're just rapping like a drug dealer. Correctional officer. I spend $10,000 on Chrome Hearts, which I may wear for a month. It's $10,000. Buddy, back in the day we were buying red monkeys. What were those worth? $1 million. It shows you that's the point in our society, where you can relate with yourself genuinely being who you say you are. It doesn't matter. Meech was constantly flaunting his extravagant lifestyle on social media. From designer clothes to a home that looked like it belonged in a high-end magazine. In one clip, he boasted, "This is my kitchen right here," showcasing expensive appliances. "This is the Ferrari." The contrast between then and now demonstrates how extreme his spending spree had become. And that was just the beginning. His home was designed to be a symbol of success and luxury in every way. And Meech wasn't just living in luxury, he was surrounded by it. He was frequently spotted hanging out with industry heavyweights like Future, Lil Baby, and Gunna, artists who earn millions of dollars from a few shows or monthly streaming fees. It's for luck. "The lion is my Egyptian furniture. I like that vintage look." The statement reflected a growing sentiment. Not so much. Meech, Lil Baby owes you nothing, as Tony Yo pointed out. In reality, their financial situation was completely different. They could afford to waste money without blinking. Maybe 50 should have brought Meech a bag after that. Maybe a watch. Meech was attempting to compete in a league for which he was not financially prepared. There was one significant difference. Though 50 Cent always had a plan, he wasn't just spending money to look good. He was buying assets, converting his money into businesses, and building wealth that would outstrip his musical career. They acknowledged that they were also careless with their money when Gunna was at his best, spending massive sums on jewelry, clothes, cars, and other things. He was sitting in the snowman with a Lamborghini. But the problem is that it lacks the financial plan to be sustained. Without discipline, preparation, or long-term vision, even the largest bags might disappear more quickly than they arrived. And that reality was going to hit Lil Meech harder than ever. "Man, you did a lot for everyone. Lamborghinis, banks. I'm done with banks." Unlike 50 Cent, who made money from a variety of sources, including businesses, products, touring endorsements, and numerous revenue streams. Lil Meech was wired differently. Meech attempted to keep up with rappers who made money from a variety of sources, including businesses, products, and numerous revenue streams. But Meech simply had no revenue, and now that the BMF checks have stopped coming in, the unpleasant reality is beginning to set in. The Garage, Meech, once referred to the late fashion visionary Virgil Abloh, demonstrating how consumed he was by appearances and image. The most absurd thing is that none of this was surprising. 50 Cent warned him repeatedly to slow down, stop spending like the money was endless, and to focus on the bigger picture. The luxury lifestyle he displayed on the internet, complete with fancy cars, fashionable clothes, and private jets, is going to become increasingly difficult to sustain. You know, I don't play with Wham. Rick Ross enters the picture because, while Meech's financial decisions were hurting his future, Ross was intensifying his long-running feud with 50. Meech was too busy boasting to pay attention. And now he's being held accountable. The unrestrained spending, the careless decisions, and the inability to adapt have all contributed to a financial disaster that could have been prevented. It shows you just how far the culture has shifted, 50 once said. And since then, the two have traded diss tracks, online insults, and deeply personal shots that blurred the line between music and real-life animosity. This rivalry, which is among the most intense in modern hip-hop, began when 50 publicly revealed Ross's past as a correctional officer, which hit Ross's street credibility like a wrecking ball. When the drama surrounding Lil Meech is playing out in real time, that old rivalry is igniting a new chapter, one where financial missteps and personal grudges collide in the messiest way possible. After all, what you do matters more than who you say you are. And when Rick Ross saw the ideal opportunity to align himself with Big Meech, everyone knew it wasn't about money. Ross was able to destroy Lil Meech's entire career in the process of taking aim at 50 Cent and scoring points in a long-standing feud, which was ridiculous because 50 Cent saw the play coming and warned Lil Meech repeatedly that this alliance was a setup rather than support. And all of this was about friendship, loyalty, or creating something real. The BMF series, the project that made him famous, is officially dead, and he needs to find a new lane quickly before the situation gets out of hand. The consequences have been severe, with 50 cutting all connections and clearing his hands of the situation, leaving Lil Meech jobless, estranged from one of the most powerful individuals in the industry, and desperately trying to figure out what to do next. The question now is whether 50 was right to walk away and cut his losses after everything that has happened, or if Lil Meech made a huge mistake by siding with his father and Ross. If Big Meech continues to get cozy with Ross, the situation could spiral even further, drawing everyone involved into a deeper mess than they ever imagined. However, given Rick Ross's tendency to stir things up, this could just be the beginning. The game, the only way he knows how. To ensure you don't miss any of the upcoming wild updates, leave a comment below, watch the next video on your screen, and click the like, subscribe, and post notifications buttons while you're here. You'll be curious about what lies ahead.